Hello, Jen here, and it is that time of year again. I am working on my December daily album. I always like to have it prepped and ready to go well in advance so that I can kind of work on it at my own pace throughout the month of December. I used to be so good at getting them done by sometimes even January 1st, but at least into the first week of January. And I have fallen behind the last couple of years. And I definitely think it's because this is the kind of album that I need to just be very simple. We are super busy at Christmas, and honestly, from November all the way through to the end of December, and time just kind of slips away from me, and printing out photos becomes hectic, and so the simpler the better. But the last few years I have so many ideas, and there's so many people creating albums that inspire me to want to do all these fun things, and so my albums have been getting more and more complex because I want to do all the fun things that everybody shares. But this year I am going back to simple. I try to mix it up every year anyways. So I have some albums that I've created myself, traveler's notebooks that I have created myself. And then I also have different sized pocket page albums. And, it's just fun. Every year it's something completely different. And so for this year, I've really enjoyed now putting together 2 other CrafTreat albums. And I've shown you both of those. One was the Be Happy album that I put together, and then the other one was the Gatefold album that I put together for Halloween. And so, or I guess for my October daily, which I have all those pictures printed. So don't worry, that is coming up where I will actually put some photos on there and get it completed. But yeah, I've really been enjoying that. So when I picked up the Gatefold album from Scrap Shotz, I also grabbed this one, and this is another kit where you actually get 2 of the albums. So the Gatefold, I got a black and a craft, and this one also comes in a black and a craft, so you can actually make this album twice. Or if you wanted to kind of create a larger album, put this all together and make it larger and just have a couple extra fold outs, and then that way you have way more space to add all of your Christmas photos. You can definitely do that. But I like that they come in 2s. Not all of them do. It depends on how complex the album is. But I like that a lot of them come in 2s. So this folio is the main feature, or the reason I kind of thought this would be fun as my Christmas one, is because it has these really cool waterfall features, and each of these little like the waterfall flips are good for me because I do like to include a picture that kind of represents the day, and then also a photo of whatever shenanigans our elves get up to. And normally I print that as 2 little 2x3s, and so I thought this is going to work good because I can get 2 photos on these little flaps, and that actually means that I have pretty much, if I kind of plan it the way that I think I'm going to, just between the 2 waterfalls, I can get 24 photos. So there is actually plenty of space in here. And I also know that I can keep it really simple. There's not a ton of real estate, so I don't have to get too carried away with extra embellishments and that kind of thing, which I love to do. And I will definitely do some layouts and things to kind of make up for the fact that I don't have as much space to maybe embellish, but it's kind of a tactical plan for me because it means that I don't have a lot of space to kind of make every little page too fussy and too complex and take too much time. So yes, it's strategy for me, and honestly, I love doing that. But the thing that's kind of holding me at bay and making this okay as well is that I still have several that aren't finished from the past few years. And so while I'm doing this one and adding just a few little touches or journaling or whatever here and there, I still have my other ones that need to get done. So if I'm feeling like I just want more of a complex page that I can really sit down and get creative and have a lot of fun with, I will go back into some of my other December dailies and try to get those finished as well. And I think between having this one just be like very satisfying that I can plonk some photos down and get it done, and the other ones that I already started off kind of more complex and creative, so I'll keep going with that. It will kind of balance that out for me. So that is my very wordy plan for December daily this year. Now the collection that I'm using is the Christmas Tree Farm collection, and that is from Paper Roses. And I got this all from Scrap Shotz. So if you're looking for all this same stuff, please head over to their website. You can grab all the different types of CrafTreat folios that they have. They are the kind of thing that will sometimes sell out and then just get restocked. So don't worry if you see one that I'm using or one that someone from the design team is using and it's not there. They tend to come back in, or something very similar. These are super popular right now because there's just something really fun about sitting down and creating your own album. But what CrafTreat does is they do some of the tedious work for you. So I think one of the things, definitely for me, but I've heard this from other people too, that kind of stops me from just pulling out cardstock and doing this from scratch is all of the measuring and scoring and cutting. You're constantly just cutting and cutting and cutting. And so in order to create some of these albums, you would have to do all the cutting of the plain cardstock, whatever the base of your album is, and then all of the pattern papers. It can take a while and it can be tedious. And while it's fun, sometimes just the concept of how much work goes into it can be daunting. So they do the base for you and kind of take that one step out of it, and then all you do is put it together. So all of your pieces are cut and scored for you, so you're just essentially adding your own pattern papers and sticking everything together. And I'm using the score tape. It's a thicker one, but I just cut it, as you can see here, to make it fit. But I just find that the score tape holds things really well. I do have my ATG as well, because sometimes there's just little spots where you need a little bit of reinforcement, or it just kind of makes sense to run your ATG across it, and then you can tuck in where the adhesive might not follow the lines or the edges very well. But for the most part, I just like how strong the score tape is. You could also add little lines of a wet adhesive if you wanted just that extra little bit of security and hold. You could definitely do that too. But I think if any of these pieces start to come apart, we can just go in and add some extra adhesive, and they seem to be pretty good. So this one, you can see, folds out into 4 main pages, and then you have the waterfall, which I'm working on right here, and then you're going to have a couple pockets for some tags, and that is definitely a spot where I think a lot of journaling could be added, or extra little things. You go to a Christmas party, or you go to a fun event somewhere and you just collect a few little extra things. I can go ahead and tuck them into the tag pockets, or on the, I don't know how to describe it, but once you fold the first 2 pages in, there are also pockets on those pages as well. So I can tuck things in there. If there's an event that comes up and I have lots of photos and I want to include multiple ones in in that day, I can go ahead and maybe use some of the tags or use the pockets to kind of include extra days. So in my brain, I think I have it mostly sorted out, but I know that there will be some additions going in here, or, some extras that I can kind of add in. I feel like there's enough flexibility without allowing me to get too carried away. And I know you guys have seen some of these super chunky December dailies that I have put together. This one is not going to be one of those. So essentially, I pull out all of the pieces, make sure that I have all of the pieces, and then you saw how beautiful those color instructions are. So what you have on the inside of the packaging is the step-by-step instructions. You have the color photos, and then you also have written instructions. And then on the back, I've referenced the back of the packaging a couple of times as well. It has the measurements for what each piece is. And that's what I use to decide how big or how small to cut my patterned paper. Now, with that being said, I think every album that I've put together, they have always left a border. And so you can see here, I left that black border. I really like black as like a grounding color or an accent color. So I tend to leave that on all of the albums that I've been doing. And I think I would do the same if these were in white as well. But if you wanted to go edge to edge, you could definitely do that too. And then in that case, I would probably use each individual piece as my guide. That way you have the exact size that you want, and you can just cut around the edges. But if you kind of want to just have a bit of a border, flip it to the back, flip the packaging to the back, you'll find the measurements, and then from there you can just do the really quick math, because I think most of these albums are they run in like either half or quarter length, so you're not going to find something that's like 6 3/8 inches. You're going to find something that is 6.5 or 6.25 or 6 3/4. So you can easily do a little bit of math just to go ahead and cut all of your pieces and have a border that is as wide or as thin as you want it to be. So I kind of went with that is probably just slightly less than 1/4 inch. Just because I find my trimmer is off a little bit. But yes, so that is the trick to doing that. If you don't want it to go edge to edge, you can just look for the measurements on the back. Every single piece that you have, every piece of cardstock that has been cut and provided for you is outlined on the back with those measurements. And then I decided to do this after making the Be Happy folio or album that I created. I really like when you leave a little bit of black. So these magnetic strips, I'm leaving as black. I just feel like it's like this bold pop of that grounding color, but also it does give you opportunity if you wanted to use something other than pattern paper. You could doodle or paint or use washi tape or whatever it is, but I kind of like the boldness of the black with the border and then some of those spaces left black, or white or craft, whatever you are using. And this one does come with the magnets. So you have enough magnets, the base and then the magnetic part for both of your albums. So 6 all together. And I did go ahead and put my pattern papers onto that top one, even though that's not what the instructions said, because I realized that it might be a little bit weird to have the flap over top of photos. So I figured that those top 2 pieces would end up being some sort of embellished page, and I might go even more than this. I grabbed some of the poinsettias that were in the little die cut pack. So I have the 12 by 12 papers. I don't think I explained this. Sorry. For the Christmas tree farm, I have the 12 by 12 papers. I have the 6 by 6 paper pack, and then I have the die cut pack. And so I could go back and embellish and do more on those top cards, but I figured it might be a little bit weird to put photos there. So I just went ahead and put my paper down, and then I hid the base of the magnet with those poinsettia die cuts. And then because I honestly wasn't sure where I might ever use these die cuts, the little pieces of pattern paper, those came from the 6 by 6 papers. The top one is these cute little sheep. And so I thought I'm going to go ahead and use the sheep die cuts. That was the one thing that definitely is a bit of a challenge for me. As you can see, this collection has these beautiful kind of vintage Santa, vintage wintry, Christmassy images to them, and then animals. And I love animals. I have a lot of animals. We have 2 cats and a dog and a huge tank full of fish, and we have some really, really cute snails, and I think we're getting some shrimp. So I do love animals, but I find them very hard to work with in scrapbooking for some strange reason. And so I wasn't sure about the cute little animals. There's sheep, and I think there's a goat, and there's a kitten and a puppy. And is that it? I think there might be a couple more things, but I feel like it's a bit of an eclectic mishmash between farm animals and then this cute little puppy and kitten, and none of their sizes kind of match each other. So that I knew that was going to be a challenge for me to use those. So I think that using them in that kind of decorative way to camouflage the snaps, the magnets, and just have a fun little kind of image that I can pull down those flaps, I think that works for me. But when it's all said and done, if I have a few things left over, I can always go back in and add some extra embellishments to those top pieces. And I also put pattern paper on both the top and the back, or the top and the bottom of my waterfall. When you look at the instructions leave those back sides blank. But I know that I'm definitely going to have to utilize both sides to get all the photos in here that I want. So I went ahead and put pattern paper on both sides. And I know that probably I'll end up squishing photos in there and covering up a lot of the patterns. So I kind of picked the patterns that I felt like I would be the most okay with covering up. And truth be told, that did include the sheep paper. It's super, super cute, but I'm just not sure if my Christmas will involve any sheep or farm animals. And then a couple of those other kind of patterns or images that I wasn't too sure about. But at the very beginning, you saw me go through the papers and kind of flip the patterns. So I do have extra pieces of most of those patterns just in case I want to pull them out and use them for something else. Or like I said, maybe I end up with an event where I have a bunch more pictures and I want to add extra tags into my little tag pockets or whatever it could be. And these pockets here, for example, I could add a bunch more stuff. So there is definitely opportunity. The other thing I was thinking is if I really need to, if it really comes down to it, I could always go ahead and create the other album, or at least create the waterfall portion of the albums, and I could put them on the 2 pages here instead of those pockets. Or I could even just use the craft, like the pockets themselves. I could use them as a template to create more pockets with my own black cardstock and go ahead and just add another waterfall somewhere. So yeah, I think there's lots of places I'll be able to go ahead and add more if I need to. I could even put a pocket on the back of the album. that could work too. But just to get more of this paper used up and kind of get more of those images and make sure I'm really utilizing as much of this paper as possible in my album, I am cutting out the images from the 4x6 card sheets, the cut apart piece. The 12x12 pack has 2 of each paper. The 6x6 pack had 3 of some of those patterns. So I don't mind going ahead and cutting all of these ones out, cutting them down to be a little bit more slim, and then fitting those into the pocket. And then I have a nice neutral background. It's just that really nice green tartan print or plaid print. And so I can go ahead and use that to add photos or journaling or whatever it may be. So I cut those out. And again, if I wanted to, I still have this other piece of paper, the second paper. I could definitely cut them out again and then have more of these. So tons and tons of options that I won't necessarily know how I want to utilize them until I actually have the photos and I see. Maybe I could just add all of my little elf on the shelf photos separately and have them all on these cards. We'll see how it goes. However, the wind takes me and I'm inspired. But yes, 3 and 3 kind of fit in there really nicely. And then again, because I like that pop of black, it adds a neutrality too. So I just added 2 of the little houses. Those are also icons I sometimes struggle with. So I just thought that is a good place to go ahead and pop them down. So one's like a little farmhouse or barn almost, and then one is a little cottage or farmhouse. So I just went ahead and popped those down there. And the little space that I left would also be good to add some extra embellishment or some journaling or a little detail of something that might come up. So yeah, that's kind of how I went. I don't tend to embellish too much unless there was something very specific that I had, like a a cut file or something that I knew I wanted to create a page, and I went ahead and could create the page and just leave the space for my photos. But, or when I do create some of these albums, you've seen me before where I will put my embellishments, but I always leave the adhesive off of anywhere that I need to kind of tuck my photo into, and then I can go back and adhere it down once the photo's in there. But I don't know yet what the photos are going to be. And so that's why I'm leaving this one a little bit more basic. Even on the front cover, because again, sometimes things come up, or you collect little goodies from different places, and there might be some cute little Christmassy thing that I get that I want to add to my cover or add to my spine, the spine of the book. So I'm not doing too much here until I know what kind of pictures. But I really did like this wreath that is there, and so that's going to cover up my little magnetic backing. And then I like the way the little cardinal almost looks like it's sitting on the wreath. And so that is my little, what do you call that part? Like my little flap embellishment. I'll make a little cluster on the flap. And secretly, I'm starting to learn that having something just with the tiniest bit of weight on your flap can definitely help to hold that magnet down properly. So you'll see, I'll come back to that one in a second. But I did realize that this cut apart sheet had the perfect little border in it that fits right on the spine. And so I thought this would work out really good. And if I get the right thickers, I could not find them today for the life of me. I looked through all of my thickers that I have and could not get 2 twos. I must use 2s more than anything else, probably because it's mostly for dates. But that makes the most sense. But I could not find 2 2s in a really nice thicker. And so I'll have to go find something, but I'll probably end up putting 2025 on here. I do put it eventually on the front, just like a 25. So you won't see me do that, but you'll see that in the photos on Instagram. But I will probably put the full 2025 on the spine too, or maybe, I don't know, something cute. Or I could just leave it empty like this, because I do really like this image of kind of a garland with the little baubles. But it just was the perfect width. It fit really nicely in there and kind of gives it just that extra little element of feeling complete. So, and then I went to my 49 and Market because I have some of this chipboard left from last year's collection. And so that one says this is December. And then I think the round one says Magic Moments. And then this is December. So I thought those kind of worked really well. The neutral color, or like the grounding color from last year's 49 and Market collection was black. So that kind of worked because obviously it matches the black in the background. So I will pull out the little elements from there that I have left. I think I have a couple other bits and pieces from that collection too. So I can kind of integrate those into the album with whatever I have left over from the Christmas tree farm. So I don't have other embellishments or anything, just the little die cuts, which I'm very thankful that a lot of them are little poinsettias and cute things like that, because those are probably the types of embellishments that I like to add to my pictures. So nothing too complex again, but adding a little greenery or a little flower, those kind of are nice in smaller sizes. And that is my album for today. Thank you so much for watching my video. I really appreciate it. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Check me out on my other accounts. If you like what you saw and you want to support me, you can buy me a coffee. The link for that is down below. And also definitely check out Scrap Shotz for all your Christmas crafting and paper crafting needs. Until next time, thank you so much. Happy scrapping. Bye.